Hello everyone, welcome to today's session where we're going to be looking at how you can support the different needs of employees working from home. So I would like to introduce today's presenter, Claire Jones of Clear Talents. So she's going to be sharing their expertise and thoughts around this topic and just give you a brief explanation of what Clear Talents is. We would also love to hear from you as well throughout the webinar, so please do use the question box, which you should be able to see in the right hand corner of your screen, and we'll answer all questions at the end of the webinar. And finally, we will have a recorded version of this webinar which will be available 24 hours after we finish, and we will also be able to send everybody a copy of the slide deck if required and other supporting information. So Claire, over to you.
Thank you, Nicola. Can everybody hear me okay? Can you hear me okay there, Nicola?
Yes, all fine, yes.
Perfect, okay. Well, good morning, everyone. As Nicola's just said, the purpose of this webinar is to share some practical hints and tips on how you can support each and every one of your employees that are currently required to work from home. And then we're going to have a live Q&A session at the end where we'll endeavour to answer as many questions as possible to help support you in these challenging times. At Clear Talents, we've actually been supporting organisations with this for many years, and in our experience, people working from home need to take a slightly different approach to those in an office. The most important difference are in the place that they work at home and how they manage the distinction between work time and personal time to really avoid the two blending into each other and resulting into like an always-on state. Obviously, most office workers have to travel between the two, which will allow them to transition from kind of work mode to personal mode. For many people, this is going to be the first time that they've been asked to work from home, and they may not know the best way to do it. It's essential that we do all we can to protect the workforce and provide clear guidance that prevents them from developing avoidable issues, such as back pain due to a poor sitting position, or potentially depression due to limited colleague contact. Whilst remote working is going to be our main method of working, we should all be taking advantage of technology more than ever. For example, having a video team meeting to ensure they feel connected and maintain team spirit. It's ideas like these and many more that we'll be covering in our home working guide, and we'll be sharing this with all of you after the webinar. We have filled it with hints and tips along with easy to implement ideas that will make a real difference to productivity and health. The tone is friendly and informal, and it covers a range of topics, such as the importance of allocating a designated working area and how to maintain effective contact with other work colleagues. To enable you to ensure employees have implemented these recommendations and to help you identify those that require additional support, the guide invites them all to create a Clear Talents profile, and this is now free for up to 50 employees. If you need to make it available to more than that, please do contact me direct for different options. Within the profile, they will be able to state that they are working from home due to the coronavirus and share any concerns or circumstances that are affecting them. We all understand that these new working conditions are impacting employees in a variety of ways and that they need to share discreetly the effect it is having on them so that you can provide the support they need. To give you peace of mind that they have read and implemented the recommendations outlined in our guide, we ask them to confirm this under the coronavirus section. They are also very welcome to explore the other sections within the profile that will enable them to share further information about themselves, such as anxiety, stress, and any of the 9 protected characteristics, to provide a full picture of any areas they may need some form of reasonable adjustment. The moment they complete their profile, they are going to receive a link to a report full of self-help hints and tips on things they themselves can do to improve the way that they work. Line managers remain essential to ensuring their team feel connected and confident and that they are still available to help in any way they can. That is why at the end of the profile, we invite them to share it with their line manager, and 99% of people happily do so. This will trigger an instant email alert to their manager with their report link embedded. In the rare instance they choose not to share with their line manager, they can still create a profile and benefit from the self-help information. HR will be notified that they have created a profile, but have chosen not to share it. The report will summarise the information they have shared, along with expert guidance for the line manager on potential solutions that they should discuss and then with them and then implement as quickly as possible. We know from our current customers that there are a lot of requirements being placed on the HR teams at the moment, and that fundamentally they want 2 things: to be able to quickly identify who needs their support and to reduce the workload on their team to a manageable level. By following the approach I've outlined, the majority of employees will be able to create an optimal working environment by following the self-solving guidance or by having a consultation with their line manager, dramatically reducing the direct requests to your HR team. There will be a few cases where expert support is required, and this will be clearly outlined in the recommendations within the line manager report. They can then escalate the cases and ask for HR, facilities, or occupational health as needed. I'm really keen to point out that this will be the minority of cases, but for those that need this approach, you will have the reassurance that they will be able to identify and address appropriately and quickly. To help you understand further the effect the coronavirus situation is having on your organisation, we have created the following HR dashboards that combine the responses from every employee's profile. You can use this data to help make informed decisions on any changes required to the business strategy or processes. I hope you found this helpful, and if you would like us to set up your organisation to have access to Clear Talents, please do contact me direct. This will then ensure you can have every employee creating a profile, line managers receiving the reports, and those all important HR dashboards. As I mentioned at the beginning, we will be sharing the guide with you all by the end of today, and please feel free to share it with every employee that has been affected by this situation. I know from the Clear Company that many of you have questions that you would like to ask about the coronavirus situation. So we've decided to allocate the rest of the time today for a live Q&A session. So Nicola, I don't know, obviously we'll need to give them a moment or two, but if you would like to just share any questions that may now be appearing, feel free, and any that we can't answer, we will follow up in our response email this afternoon. That, as I said, will include a recording of this webinar and also that all-important guide that we'll be sharing with each and every one of you. So I'll just pause for a moment and give you guys a moment or two just to start submitting your questions. I know Nicola's manning that, so hopefully she's going to pop on in a moment and start sharing those.
Just one about the report actually, Claire, coming through and how it's presented. So is it more of a summary, or does it tend to be a longer document?
Good question. Okay, so we do keep the line manager report format. It's intentionally quite succinct. So we set the information, we take the assumption that this may be the first time that the line manager has worked with an employee with this particular circumstance or concern. So we will give them some background information, but the way that we approach it is we very often include a more information link. So the idea here is that obviously you're going to have managers with a whole wealth of experience. It could be from 1 week to 30 years. Some people are going to scan very quickly and think, yeah, I'm very familiar with this situation. I've supported many other colleagues in this situation. I'm very happy to go straight to a one-to-one consultation and resolve their concerns and put in place the appropriate solution. Others, it will be the first time they've had that situation and they'll really want to read up and feel confident before beginning that consultation. So for those, they can click on those more information links, they can dig a bit deeper, they can enhance their understanding so they have complete confidence when they then have that one-to-one with an employee.
Okay, yeah, quite a few coming through now, actually. So next question, is there any advice on setting up new starters during this work from home period and or somebody that's returning from maternity?
Okay, brilliant one. So the first part was advice for people working from home. So that's the guide that I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar. So we're going to send that out to you very shortly. It's a PDF format. So absolutely share that with each and every employee. That's going to walk them through the optimal way to work from home. I mean, it covers really practical things like they may benefit from a laptop raiser if they don't have access to that at the minute. You know, we do offer practical alternatives such as potentially using a box or some, you know, big substantial books. I mean, it's also, as I said, the tone's really intentionally friendly. So whilst it might seem attractive on day one to maybe work from your bed in your pajamas, it's not really an optimal working position and you're not going to be at your best productivity wise. So it kind of gives relatable examples. But yeah, absolutely. The guide that we're going to share with you in a moment is absolutely designed to be shared direct with employees, and they are meant to just read through it and implement and take on board all the hints and tips. But by the end of it, they'll be very clear on how to work best from home at the moment. The second one was returning from maternity leave, is that correct?
That's
Nicola?
correct, yes. A new starter or somebody returning from maternity leave, yes.
Yeah, so the new starter, absolutely run the guide. Obviously, the other good thing with the new starter would be to have some video team meetings so that they can meet the team, they can still feel connected. And particularly if you've got some new starters at the moment, I would kind of recommend quite a frequent meeting. So if it's their first week this week, it might be nice to just have a team huddle every day, first thing in the morning. As I said, ideally with video cameras on, if we can, just to really enhance that connection. In terms of maternity leave, it's actually probably not too dissimilar, if I'm honest. Again, I'd recommend regular daily team huddles with videos on, really welcoming that member of the team back. You know, personally, then the team can update on what's happened. They can agree as a team what the priorities are and kind of where they want that person to come into play and what their key priorities need to be for the time being, and certainly for the short term. But yeah, absolutely, let's use tech and let's keep people connected and keep people kind of particularly welcomed back in these new scenarios. So yeah, really good question.
Okay, another one for you, Claire, then. All of our 62 staff are home working. However, we couldn't buy special equipment for them all, such as chairs and desks. So what's the suggestion, or will that be covered as well from the guide?
Yeah, totally understand that. And of course, we don't know how long the situation is going to be. So, you know, we do have to be cautious here. I understand these are uncertain times, so you need to sort of manage investments as best you can. It is things like that are covered in the guide. So, for example, you know, we do talk about desks. Tables, for example, that are available in the home. You know, a coffee table isn't optimal, but hopefully a dining table might, you know, should be a lot more appropriate. I do understand that sometimes dining tables could be potentially a little bit higher than a typical working desk. So in those scenarios, workarounds could be just as simple as putting a cushion on the chair just to raise you slightly. So it's simple things like that. So again, there will be practical hints and tips to just try and optimize your working position and your working environment with the resources that you have around you as much as possible.
Okay, brilliant. Next question. For a small company of 7 people, what's the best way to video call? Is it Zoom or Teams?
Well, that's really dependent on you. I know that Zoom is particularly accessible for sure. So if you have any employee that you know is using assistive tech, or maybe just for reassurance, you know, I know from colleagues that Zoom is very accessible. But if that's not an immediate concern, it might be what people are more familiar with. So, you know, if you've previously been using Skype, everybody's confident with Skype and happy to use that. That's probably down to an internal choice. If you're not aware and you've never used either, my recommendation would be Zoom, because as I said, it's definitely accessible to all, and they should all be able to access comfortably.
Yeah, we've been using Zoom as well and found that working very well. Just a comment actually from somebody as well, saying that, as you just suggested as well, they are doing coffee mornings on video, which works really well. So again,
Yeah.
maybe like Zoom, just all meet up for that team huddle that you mentioned.
Great way to kickstart the day. Absolutely. Yeah, you know, the whole focus at the minute is keeping people positive and productive and engaged, and you know, what better way to start the day than that? So yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's free, so let's do that. Yeah, really good idea. And as I said as well, it is a great opportunity to keep people connected and to also keep people focused. What are today's priorities? What as a team do we need to achieve today? And if you have that, it could just be 15 minutes, but it is a great way to sort of start the day. And actually, the one thing I would say is do think about the time that you're allocating to that initial kickoff meeting. You know, people are homeschooling, we are all juggling a variety of things here. So sort of 15-30 minutes where possible is, you know, quite manageable, she says, with a 6-year-old, to try and keep them slightly self-entertained. Whilst you do that, you know, it's possibly less realistic to have people on a 60-90 minute huddle each day, just because, as I said, you know, we have got a variety of things happening in our home at present, as we all know.
Okay, yeah, and actually another great comment coming through from AbilityNet, just going back to the question of Zoom or Microsoft Teams, also saying that Teams is also very accessible now, according to one of their visually impaired colleagues. So certainly from experience here, I know with both of them you can share files and video and all that sort of things and have a lot of people on that call. So certainly down with the technology route, some good options.
Perfect.
another question now that may need a bit more thought, and we may need to sort of come back to people on this, but just to put it in there really. The questioner said, much of my company's workforce do not have laptops or work phones. So we operate in the care and social housing sector.
Okay.
And we are looking at ways of connecting employees into the company systems using their own tech. But any thought on support that can be provided that's not purely reliant on technology, I think would be welcomed. Whether that's something we look into and come back to everybody about. But
do you know, I think that is a really good question, and I think we will, purely because you know, at the Clear company they have a variety of fantastic consultants, and I would much rather pull on their collective expertise and come back with some really clear guidance. So that is a really good question, and it's probably not unique to your industry. There are other industries in a similar position where, as you say, laptops are not automatically issued or not necessarily their normal mode of working, if you like. So as you say, maybe not everybody has access to these computers at present, and they need to get online. So yeah, let's take that one, and we're going to follow up on that. Let's put that as one of the ones that we will follow up on later today when we share the guide via email. We'll have a few follow-up questions, and that's definitely going to be one of them. So we'll come back to you later today with some clear ideas on that, but really good question.
Okay, one last question actually coming through now, all around data and data privacy, which obviously, despite everything going on, still does need to be a concern. So in terms of Clear Talents and its profiles and everything else, how does that work alongside the GDPR regulations?
Yeah, again, a very good and important question to ask. So individuals are asked to provide their consent for us to process their data. And if they do not give their consent, they'll not be able to create a profile, although they still can create an account. They can remove their consent at any time or at any point in the future. So right up at the beginning, we do ask them to do that. But because I think the main thing is, if they understand the access they're going to get to all this expert and guidance for themselves, you know, direct, so that they themselves can immediately improve the way they work, and also that their line manager will have access to those independent experts advice as well, then, as I said, mass majority of people are very happy to create a profile, and literally at the click of a button they can remove their consent at any point. So once they've created an account and created a profile, every time they log in, they have an instant link that they can click on. I'd like to stress it's very rare that people use that link because of the many benefits they kind of feel from the process. I think the other key thing is, in these ever-changing times, once they've actually completed a profile, they can update it at any point as well. So, you know, if they create a profile today and they're possibly coming at it from the perspective of working from home in the current situation, they could, you know, they can similarly update their profile to then, you know, if a member of their family, say, were to be taken ill and they now have that additional caring responsibility, they could literally log onto their profile and just update that element, and that will trigger a separate alert to their line manager saying their employee has actually made further updates to their profile. So they very instantly and quickly get a lifetime picture of where their employee is at and kind of their current concerns and circumstances. So it's also important to know that once they've created it, they can update it and amend it instantly and quickly.
Okay, questions still coming in. So the additional support and information that's being put into Clear Talents at the moment, Claire, will that just be within the normal Clear Talents costs, or will that be put in as an additional?
No, we're not. No, there's no way that we would be incurring additional cost on our you know, our customers at this time. So no, that's absolutely, and for all existing Clear Talent customers, that has gone live. You'll find it under the workspace section, and of course that's an additional resource that, you know, we fully want you to utilise. No additional cost coming your way at all.
Okay, fabulous. Another question now from a team who had a session with Robin from Clear Talents last week and have really enjoyed using the guide, and are just asking if they can circulate that with other friends as well who are working.
Yes, please do. Yeah, absolutely. This guide is free to use, and we have created it again just purely with the objective of wanting to ensure that everybody can work as effectively as possible. It's a free to use guide, and that's why, as I said, we're distributing it via email later today, and it is absolutely yours to share. You know, I'm actively encouraging you to share it with all your employees, family and friends. You know, we all need to sort of pull together in these unknown times, really. So yeah, absolutely available to all, not a problem at all.
Fabulous. Okay, well, unless anybody has anything else that they would like to add to that, that looks like that's everything for questions now.
Okay, perfect. Well, listen, thank you all for your time. I realise it's an extremely busy period. If you've got any further questions that you think of following the end of this webinar, my contact details are on the screen. As I've said, if you would like us to set up your organisation so that you can have access to everything, please email me direct, and Nicola and I will be following up with all of you that have attended with the free guide and a copy of the recording. And certainly that one question that we're going to refer to the CLEAR consultants will be coming back to you on that later today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.